Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek. This is going to be our weekly one, and this is fun because we're doing something completely different than we normally do. We're talking the Mandalorian and stuff. So
I so want to sing the theme song, but you kind of can't.
You can't. There really isn't anything to sing.
I can't.
But it sounds so freaking cool. So, if you're looking at the screen, you'll notice that there is no Blythe. So we will have a lot of Baby Yoda love today. So yeah, I'm sure someone will throw in a bad joke, but yes, we love Baby Yoda because he's the greatest thing in the world. And anybody who doesn't think so, I kind of question their geek card forever. Can we all agree with that? I think we can. Yeah.
It's I agree. I think it's because he's just, Blythe is just, he's so young, he just doesn't understand.
Because he is Baby
Someday
Yoda.
He'll grow up and appreciate it.
He's the Baby Yoda.
He is.
I want him to dress up as Baby Yoda for Halloween now.
I want him to dress his kid as Baby Yoda for Halloween. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yes.
Okay, this is Mandalorian season 2, episode 1. We will be trying to shoot one of these out every week, probably a rotating cast. We'll see, but then again, maybe we'll stick with these guys. I don't know yet. So I'm Dub, and I'm your producer, and I'm wrangling cats as usual. Up next to me is Miss Christina. How are you doing today?
I am Golden.
Golden? Okay. I thought it would have been I don't know where I was going with that one. I'll leave that one alone.
Like fantastic. I have an old soul.
Oh, I like that one. That one works.
She's sort of Venus de Miloing it. She's just got a glow about her today.
Whoa. Are you? Never mind. We're going to talk about something afterwards if everything's okay. We'll talk about it afterwards. Not on camera, of course. That was family friendly. If you knew what I was talking
my goodness.
about. Okay, and then we have Miss Satomi. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be talking about this show without the judging eyes of Blythe. Because I love my Baby Yoda. I don't care what he say.
Yeah, we will definitely be having a lot of mileage out of this joke with the Blythe thing. He'll come on and defend himself on the last season.
It's not episode. A joke. It's not.
I love Baby Yoda.
It's not a joke.
I think Yoda's great.
If I were in Vegas, then Blythe would be getting crank calls and threatening messages on his doorstep. Not really.
You do know that cell phones is the same price no matter where you call, right? There's no long distance anymore. Should I have not told you that? Shoot.
Yeah, but
okay, I'm done.
No, it's the time difference.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not as effective when it's not timed properly. Okay,
fair enough. Okay, and
then
brought us a new friend to play with.
Yes. I did. Ladies and gentlemen, our listeners, I'm going to introduce somebody new to you. He is a bass player, a composer. He's a massive geek.
So he's replacing me.
His own lightsaber from from Galaxy's Edge. He's a rabid New Jersey Devils fan, and every time he sings the national anthem for their games, they win. P.S. And he is also a fellow cast member at the Phantom of the Opera. My dear friend, Chris Giorgetti.
Yay!
Woo! I love when new people come on. So how are you doing today? How's it feel being on the I Heart Geek podcast?
I'm really excited. Satomi has told me all wonderful things about this.
She lies.
Well, I knew that already, but that's a...
How dare you!
Oh, this show's going to be good.
Satomi, we haven't seen each other in months. I have to get every single joke in I can.
You are now kicked out of the
not
village.
Again.
You are no longer protector. Sorry, we're a big Vikings fan. Not Vikings.
That's not a
Norseman.
The people aren't going to know our inside joke.
No. So that's always fun to listen to,
Yes. No, we're also big fans of the Norsemen, and so we actually have a bit of a village, and I am the chieftain when we are at
the new chieftain or the old one?
The majestic.
The old one or the new one? Big difference between the two.
I am my own chieftain. I am like if Freya were. Anyhow, that's the wrong show. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, let's stay on topic for a change. We never do that.
Never.
Ever. Okay, so yeah, we're talking season 2, episode 1. Let's do a quick recap of what got us here. And let's not so I think every oh yeah, let me say this at the top. Spoilers. If you haven't watched it and you're planning on it, turn it off and we'll watch it later. But we are definitely throwing spoilers out because it's a 32-minute show and our episode's going to be about 30 minutes. So I don't really
I
I don't
love
want
how
to
you have
tiptoe.
it down to the minute. It's a
Well,
32 it's a
it
32-minute
is.
episode. So here
It
we go.
is.
I do kind of enjoy how with Mandalorian in general, like season 1, it was
Mhm.
never like this is our 40, this
Yeah.
there was never like really a set
Yeah.
time. They really just made the show as long as it needed to be for the story that needed to be told that for that chapter.
Anywhere from let's see, the shortest was 27 minutes, the longest was 47. That's a pretty amazing switch off. And I'm glad they did it that way because this is really the new generation of TV, and I'm so happy for it.
It is a little harder to plan out your binge watching, though. I'm just saying.
This
you know,
show,
you have to
should
go
not
in
be
and
binge watched.
add them all in. And
Yeah,
I
Oh.
actually like how they just release one episode
One
at a
ep-
time
Mhm.
yes,
because it builds excitement.
exactly. Game
without
of
the
Thrones would have
commercials.
sucked if we would have binged it.
I actually did binge it. Game of
Really?
Thrones. We can have a conversation about that later.
No, this show to me feels like it's definitely a step back to when we used to watch a show every week and be excited about it. And what I love about this show that we don't
Mhm.
get anymore, every single person I know is watching this, and we all sit around and talk about it, what's going to happen next week, and uh, I think that the way they have planned this out has been absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
This is not what I was expecting in a show, and I'm not talking in The Mandalorian in general. That's where we're going to stay there for a few minutes. I think that it's different from what I expected. I was expecting a lot more new Star Wars universe, kind of, if y'all know what I'm saying on that one. But this is definitely
Mhm.
right back. I feel like we're watching Return and Empire again. It just feels right.
Mhm.
It feels like it hits my geek buttons just perfectly. Because I don't like the new universe. This to me is every bit as good. How do you guys feel on all that? Let's start with
I'm
you,
sorry. It
Chris.
sounded like you said it hit your geek
Of the
buns.
Mandalorian or the new sequel trilogy.
The
I'm a huge
Mandalorian in general.
Okay, so The Mandalorian is a breath of fresh air. It's all of the things that I wish the movies would do, but couldn't because of reasons.
Reasons good. Someone's trying to get a job in the Star Wars universe somewhere.
I mean, hey, if Disney offered me a contract, I would be like, yes, sign me up. I will
So
take
would I,
that
but I don't
money.
have any talent, so that sucks.
I love the fact of how simple and effective the storytelling is.
Yeah.
Because you can watch any TV show or any movie, and if the story's not good, I'm gonna fall asleep or turn something else on.
Mhm.
And it helps that it's Star Wars, which is like my favorite thing ever. I love everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
I love it.
And everything's a new character, which is awesome. Christina, what about you? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, like you, I don't like the new Star Wars. I appreciate the older ones, but I love the Mandalorian. I love the storyline. I love the child. I love Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
And the reactions that he does, like I have spit water out when he does certain things. Like in
Eating the
this
frog?
no, well, no, this episode it was whenever he just closes his little enclosure really fast because he knows it's going down. I was drinking and I spit water. But as far as like the binge watching too, I have to say this. When this episode was over, Sean's like, "You're not going to watch the next one?" I said, "No, honey, these are every week." And he just was so heartbroken that he has to wait an entire week to see the next one.
Oh, that's what's beautiful, is that anticipation.
Yes.
I don't care how you watch these shows. If you want to wait and watch the whole thing, that's on you. I enjoy that just anticipation every week because it's like, what's going to happen? Oh my gosh. And something that this has done really well, I'll get you in just a second, Satomi. But one thing this has done so well is that even on those weeks that it doesn't feel like it's a side quest in a video game, like this week was definitely felt like, well, it's kind of a side quest. It doesn't really have anything to do with the story. It still gives you enough at that end part. And yes, we will hit that hard. We'll it gives you enough that it's still part of the main story without everything has to be a thing. Well, this character was here. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with that. So tell me, what's your thoughts on it?
I
That was
actually,
dizzying.
just as far as the other, so like I am not a fan of the prequels. The more recent Star Wars, I actually enjoyed them personally. They're not to me as strong or
Yeah.
as memorable as the original ones, or as visceral, but I enjoyed them. But that being said, what I love about The Mandalorian is even though it's set post OG, um, you something that makes Star Wars so special is that it is a whole complete world with its
Mhm.
own jargon and its own,
Yeah.
and so the fact that you can have this adjacent story that is part of this fully fleshed out universe, just makes that the original stuff even that much richer. Like I
Yeah.
love the Marshall has that line about some days two suns shine on a womp rat's tail.
Yeah. It
Do you
brings you
remember? And
back.
so
Yes.
but it's like those moments of like they have their own, their own jargon and their own, it's fully realized
And
and it
you're
just
in on
and
it.
you're in it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it just makes your whole imagination
Mhm.
universe explode. And that's what's so great about this series.
And it brings in all these new characters and you don't care because they feel like old familiar friends
Yeah.
without
Yes.
being the exact stereotype of,
Yes.
the Mandalorian is not Boba Fett,
No.
whatever kind of lore that we've all created in our minds for him. He's his own character, but he still feels so familiar. The child is not Yoda, but there's a familiarity to it.
Well, and the fact that, and I'm probably going to take us into a whole other aspect, that we get to know the sand people as a people instead of
Yes.
just these
Oh,
monsters.
Yes.
I want that job. But I mean, the costuming is just incredibly gorgeous on it. And they didn't, how do I put it? They didn't update update it to look like it's even more futuristic. It looks like it was in the original. And you realize real quick, wow, it wasn't cheesy back then either. They just did a
No.
really good job of it.
Yeah.
And it really has stood the test of time.
Yeah, that's one of those series that absolutely does.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into episode 1, season 2. The first thing we run into is the boxing match, which is just amazing. And this is something I learned about. Do you know the pigmen? I always just call them the pigmen or the Tuskmen. They're actually called Gamorrean. Now, if you look also in the Marvel universe, who's
Yeah.
Gamora?
Yeah.
Kind of got a very similar look. And I'm wondering if there's some kind of crossover there. Maybe a distant cousin or something?
You have to wonder. Maybe it's a familial
Yeah, could be.
thing.
And
I don't
and
know. I mean, it might be stretching a little
it
bit
might be
still.
nothing, but yeah. I just
Hey,
saw
but
that
we know
on
how to
the
stretch.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
I just saw that on IMDb and I'm like, "Oh, I wonder." It just got my mind. And that's again what's fun about this show is these little details that
Yep.
if you're a geek, you'll obsess on it, and if you're not, okay, that's interesting, and you move on. It's
I
yeah.
did enjoy their little their armor, their little bit of electric armor. I don't know how else to put
Yeah.
it.
The I know what you're
As
talking
it,
about, but I don't know
yeah,
the yeah.
it's very Dune actually. It was
Oh yeah.
Yes.
it was very Dune.
They definitely borrowed from a lot of different sources on this, I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So first scene, you see the Mandalorian, and I mean he's doing his thing. Let's go through that first scene first, where they're at the boxing match and he's getting double crossed, like he's always going to get double crossed every single time you're going to see the Mandalorian. What's your guys' thoughts on that scene? Was that important to you? Not? Did you notice anything cool about it other than the Gamoran?
One thing that took me by surprise that I didn't catch right away was the Cyclops dude was John Leguizamo. I had to go back.
Oh yeah.
I had to go back because my fiance and I watched it the first time. We saw his name in the credits. We're like, where was John Leguizamo in this episode? And then we went back, watched it again, and we're like, oh. I think this kind of sets up that one scene with Cyclops dude. I don't know what his name was. I just call him that. I think this is going to set. Yeah, Cyclops dude is kind of setting up. Like that's the setup point for the whole season's arc.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, I think definitely. Okay. So yeah, that's a lot of this was very. As much as I liked, as you know, I would still give this an A+. All that. However, I thought a lot of this was a little bit forgettable at the beginning. And that kind of bummed me out, but I feel like this is everyone's watched this show to the point that if they're in, they're in, and if they're not, and they don't have to do action-packed every minute. So, and then it went to Amy Sedaris, who is becoming one of my favorite characters, the mechanic.
Yes.
Really? I actually
You don't
don't
like
love
her?
her.
Why
You know,
not?
I love the character, but and I really am somebody who I try not to criticize other actors very much because I
But you're
know
about
how
to.
much, but I'm about to. But just because I know how much is not necessarily in your control. And if I just don't love her delivery of the character. I
Fair enough.
find myself wanting to be more fond of her than I am.
No, I'm not the biggest Sedaris fan, honestly. I know she's done a lot of really cool work, but I just she's
usually hilarious.
She's never really done it for me. This character, for whatever reason, really just resonates with me. Just that whole kind of East Coast, raised on the streets, hood rat type. Probably stole everything in her garage to make a garage.
What are you saying about East Coasters?
You know what I'm saying about East Coasters. And Chris's face just dropped. Like, did he say that? This is why I live on the West Coast. They're not going to chase me all the way over here.
Chris, you're going to have to get your cousin after Dub there.
They're on vacation. It's not safe to go outside because of the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? We're staying home for the year.
Tony Number's taking a break.
Yeah.
Now it's Zoom threats.
Just for the record, before we get too far off track, I am probably the least stereotypical North Jersey Italian person you'll ever meet.
So you don't steal hubcaps, is what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
I don't. No.
He sings opera for crying out loud.
It's like I sing and dance on Broadway, but anyway, Star Wars.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yes.
Oh,
I think I broke Dub.
Yeah, I was about to say exactly that. Yep.
Yeah.
Dub, you have met your match.
Chris, you're like a superhero. You need a cape.
Yes.
That was amazing. Okay, so Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Go ahead. I thought you were about to say something to Tony. Nope. Okay, let's hit on to the Timmy Oliphant, Cobb Vanth, and tell me that's not the most Star Wars name in the Star Wars universe. Cobb Vanth.
Oh, it's perfect.
Being that basically, the show is a space western, and that was Shane or whoever else. But some people might not agree, but I didn't feel he was very likable as a character. I don't
think he was supposed to be.
I don't think he was like Han Solo was likable and redeemable and was supposed to be kind of the same character. He just didn't feel like, I'm like, okay, shoot him.
he was meh.
Yeah, and it wasn't, I don't think it was his performance.
Yeah.
I think I don't think we're going to see this character again.
But we will.
We
probably will.
Probably. Yeah. Everything comes back on the show.
I think he was serving a purpose.
I'm trying not to watch any spoilers or anything, so I don't know what's coming next at all.
Now, I did enjoy their interaction when it turned from, okay, we're going to do this in front of the kid, and Mandalorian's like, he's seen worse. So you're like, you're preparing for that gunfight. Like literally, they had the Western shot of the hand next to the holster. And then that was I thought it was a really nice shift.
It was.
Well, maybe we can work something out. I thought that was really well done. Is anybody else getting? Everybody's getting shades of Western, which I totally understand, but I'm getting massive David Carradine kung fu.
Yes,
that was a kung fu Western.
Yes.
It was a kung fu western. It absolutely was. But like because there's that a little bit of that exoticism
Yeah.
Yes.
in this.
Something just
that-
a little bit different.
Yeah. I just keep waiting for the Mandalorian to like rip off his forearm guards and have like tattoos or scars up his arms from
You kill my brother. You disrespect the Shaolin Temple. Am I allowed to do that? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes,
awesome.
you are. It's okay. It's done out of love.
However, did anybody else completely flip out when you saw Boba Fett's armor on him?
Oh
And
my
I'm
God.
like,
Yes.
Oh my God.
I literally squealed. Go ahead, Chris.
My reaction went from "Oh my God, it's Boba Fett" to "It's not Boba Fett because he's too skinny."
Ding, 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 ding.
It's like, and then he took the helmet off, and we're like, and that gave it away for me. Like, okay, it's not Boba
It's
Fett.
not Boba.
But
yeah.
it's like at that moment, I'm like, are we gonna get to him? It's like he just didn't. He just
Spoilers
didn't.
coming. Spoilers coming.
Spoilers. It's like he didn't just find this armor anywhere, or did he?
Oh, I think there's definitely lies to the story that he told. I think we are going to find a little more to that.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely earned my geek card watching it because he took off the helmet and my husband goes, is that Boba Fett's helmet? And I was like, yeah. Oh, well, that totally makes sense because he fell into the Sarlacc pit in Jedi. Yeah. So of course it would make sense that he'd be eaten and then bleh, would out come the shell, the tasty shell.
Yeah, which would make sense. And
yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the Clone Wars universe. Not that I don't like it, I just haven't made my way through it yet. But I know Boba Fett is still alive in that universe, so that tells you he's still alive. I didn't like how he looked in the armor because his neck is weird, and when I was a kid, I used to take my G.I. Joes and take the screw out of the back and switch their parts around just because I was psychotic. But they always had like their necks were too long and their arms were out of proportion, all that. And it brought me back to that point seeing him in that armor.
Are you talking the Marshal or are you talking?
The Marshal
okay.
and G.I. Joe at the same time. It's just kind of like, that just looks weird. I don't like that at all. That's not my friend. Christina, what was your thoughts on that?
Well, my first response when I saw the armor was I said, "Mother, family-friendly show."
Mother family-friendly show. Yeah, that's what you said.
Because I was like, no way, not. I mean, especially for being the opener. And then, yes, he was too skinny. But then when he took it off, I was like, okay, but we've got to get more. We've got to get more. I got excited because I love Boba Fett.
And going back, I mean, there's been a million times in the season 1 that I don't know about y'all, but a lot of people believed, oh, that was Boba Fett. No, that was Boba Fett. No, that guy in there, he's Boba Fett, because we always wanted to believe it.
Yeah.
Until now. So yeah. So let's talk about the mission they go on, and this is actually a really nice story that we're not getting in Hollywood anymore, but it's actually two people of completely opposing views that are trying to kill each other. But you know what? We're all in this together. Let's work together and let's fix this and do another egg scene. They have a weird.
Is that what that was at the end? Okay, I was like, is it an eyeball?
Was it?
Or...
It looked like it was too shiny to be an egg. I think I thought it was a pearl, but I could be wrong.
They have a weird obsession with spherical things coming out of monsters' bodies in this show because that egg thing is really gross.
That was.
Yeah,
it was effectively done though.
I thought that the dragon was a nice throwback to the sock puppet from Star Wars.
Yes.
Came out of the comic.
Yeah.
No, I think they might be a relation of some sort.
I was waiting for Kevin Bacon though to show up somewhere. I was just waiting.
But it really felt like a nice callback without being a callback, like we were talking about what the show does really well. Mm-hmm. But I thought the dragon was really interesting, and I would have liked to have seen more. But I feel like you only saw the neck, and no, it's this big. I'm like, oh.
I thought that scene was hilarious, where they had like the little bones and the rocks, and like, is this to scale? It's to scale. It kind of reminded me the crate dragon reminded me of the Molduga from Breath of the Wild. the
Okay,
Zelda
yeah.
game. Basically, it's the same thing. It's like this sand dragon monster that hides, and then
Yeah.
I'm getting carried away. But yes,
No, that's cool.
But I thought it was awesome. Like
Yeah.
once they once we saw it, especially at the latter half of the episode, I was like, yeah, it's
when it
pretty cool.
opens its mouth
and just spits acid everywhere.
Now
I sort of love that it was like, I'm going to ignore the bantha and just go for the sand person. It's like,
yeah.
appetizer.
Like, well, that sucks.
I'm such an animal person too, so I was
You
like,
were okay with it, weren't you?
I was like, bring it back. And then when it completely ignored the bantha and went for the sand, I'm like, that's what you get.
Well, the bantha is a hamburger, right? That is their cows.
Cows.
And
I like cows.
And they just straight up murdered them without regard. They're like, oh, here you go. Here's another one. Yeah. It's like, we got more.
And then they had the bantha that was like strapped with explosives. It was like, oh, hey, convenient.
Okay,
bantha bomb.
Did I miss where that came from? Yeah,
they strapped him up. They loaded a whole bunch of banthas up with early on in the episode, and I was like, oh, they're gonna explode a bantha. As soon as I saw that, I was like,
oh, they're gonna
explode him. And so for whatever reason, they buried all of their explosives in the pit, except for all of the ones that were on that dang bantha.
Yeah. Which I was like, okay, well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Well, it was in the script.
This show's going to have a lot of convenience. It has to. It's a short show. And I don't hold it against that. I don't want to have to be clever every minute. It's like watching Doctor Who. It's fun, but, especially when you go with like the Moffat phase, it's kind of like, okay, everything doesn't have to be 7 layers deep. We get it.
No.
And this is very on the surface. This is the layer, and I am so happy with it. I don't want to have to research everything. That's why people don't like us sometimes, because we do that.
It's like really good guac versus the 7-layer dip.
Dub, you and I share the same sentiment about Stephen Moffat, it looks like, in regards to Doctor Who. He's a great individual episode writer, but they shouldn't have given the keys to him for an entire series.
Oh, we're going to talk Doctor Who later, I promise you that.
but I digress.
We still haven't talked Doctor Who.
No, we've been wanting to forever. Now, what the last part we'll talk about on this scene, which I thought was just amazing, was the I felt like we were getting into that opening scene from Guardians 2 when Drax jumps into the monster to try to stab it from the inside. I'm like,
yes. Oh,
is that what he's doing? Is he really going to try to kill him from the inside? that would just really struck me as borrowing from your own universe a little bit there, guys.
Right. Sean actually nailed that right from the get-go. Like when they were planning the explosives, the minute he saw the bantha bomb, he's like, yeah, that's not going to work. They're going to have to do it from the inside.
From the inside. Because why wouldn't you?
Right, because it's awesome. And how
like
powerful.
when there's a comet coming towards your planet, you have to drill inside. Otherwise.
Right. But how powerful is that Mandalorian suit?
Reference. Yes.
Yes, you did.
And you look disgusted by it. Okay. Now, before we get into the big spoiler, and this is your last chance to jump off, guys. This is the spoiler coming up in a second after this. Did anybody else notice that the complete lack of necessity of the child in this episode?
Yeah.
I noticed that he kept like leaving the baby Yoda behind.
Yeah.
Well,
he just kept walking away from it, and I'm like, and then later you'd see him following, I think that has some of it has to do with shots, but I kept sort of waiting for baby Yoda, like when they were fighting, to be like, no, you will not fight.
I was completely grossed out when he was in the spittoon hiding.
Oh.
I didn't think about that.
In there.
Thanks, Christina. Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Ew.
Now, however,
that is so.
But I think that is a response to some of the criticism that, let's be honest, and I hate to agree with Blythe on this one, but things can get a little heavy centered around the child all the time on everything. I think this was kind of a response to that. I don't want to see every episode like that, but I do not mind seeing him take a backseat on some of these episodes. Because let's be honest, the the novelty will wear off faster if they don't.
Right. But I think I appreciate that even though he wasn't in there much, I think he was kind of well used.
Yeah.
And he really kind of like again with the sand person and my brain stopped. Anyway,
I hate when that happens.
I hate it when that happens. Like that moment where he whimpers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if that was what I was feeling, like it really spoke to me.
Yeah.
So I think that those little moments where he was used, it was well used and it really showed his personality.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to chime in on one more thing, something that really struck me in this episode in particular.
Uh-huh.
He almost is us to a certain extent because we're getting to re-experience the newness of this world through his eyes
I
and
like
through
that.
him looking and being
Yeah.
like, oh, what's that? What's that? And, you know, that his curiosity. And I suddenly realized, oh, that's his purpose because the
Yeah.
Mandalorian knows what's going down.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy that they haven't had him grow up yet either. That was the big complaint that Blythe had earlier. It's like, well, the next season is just going to make him a little bit older. It's been 50 years and he's still a baby. You can't just do these time skips. Yeah. And I'm glad that they didn't.
I don't think the show in future seasons would work if they just did a huge time jump because as you said just now, he's 50 and he's a baby.
Yeah.
It's like we'd have to wait till he's like 200, 300 years old. Yeah. So
yeah.
I thought they used Baby Yoda perfectly in this episode because if they just had him like shoot lasers or lightning out of his hands like right off the bat, be like, okay, you know.
And let's be honest, does anyone really want to see hormonal puberty Baby Yoda? Nobody wants. You want to see? Oh,
I do.
Oh, with zits, I'm like,
want to see his treble years, his teenage, where he's like got a mohawk and like
writing a lot of emo poetry. Yeah,
and his ears just randomly pop up and he can't control it. I mean, wait, what?
Like you don't understand, Dad. I have the Force.
Oh, we can almost end the show right there. That was perfect.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
I would have, but we have to do our last spoiler thing. Boba Fett's back.
Yes.
It needed it. That's what we all wanted to see from the beginning. We all wanted the Mandalorian to be Boba Fett, I think, when we first watched the previews.
Yep.
It was, and I feel like, and they've aged him right, because it's the same actor, and he looks...
it's the same actor as Jango Fett.
Yeah, well, which is Boba Fett, because he's
which
a clone.
Is his dad.
Which is good for continuity overall in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he's got to be really old, so they're not going to have to overuse him. But I think he can still come in like almost as a Clint Eastwood type role. Just come in, kick butt, and leave. And I think that he's going to be a really good recurring character. And I think that they would have wasted it if they would have done that on the first season. Yeah. Second season, however, I think this is the right time to introduce him. And I am looking forward to seeing him go to war with what's his name? The guy that played
Moff Gideon.
I think
Giancarlo Esposito.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am so looking forward to seeing that because I'm like, I think that's going to be the big end, and I think that's going to give. I don't think that Boba got the noble death that we all wanted him to get. Falling in the Sarlacc pit is not
I felt cheated on that, so I agree.
True.
I'm not going to agree with you because I didn't feel cheated until like years later, because Boba Fett didn't get most of his mythology till after the movies were over, and then we all decided we love this character, and we, millions of hours of fanfic and other stuff has been written about him, and he's just gotten so huge in the aftermarket. Which nobody.
No, see, for me, it was right off because he was created as this incredibly tough character, and for him to accidentally die, because that's what it felt like.
Sucked. Yeah.
It just ticked me off. It bad worded me off.
You can say ticked. That's a family-friendly, appropriate word.
I'm really interested to see if they'll go in depth about how he survived the Sarlacc pit.
I hope so.
It's like you can't tease Boba Fett's armor and then not give us Boba Fett, which is what I thought was one of the more brilliant points of the episode overall. Is like we got to see Boba Fett still alive.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they do the next few episodes.
Yep. Outstanding. This was a heck of a show. Let's do our grading system real quick. We do from A+ down to F. And what's your thoughts on this episode? Remember, we are going to be doing week by week. So if this isn't a strong episode, don't be afraid to punish it. Let's start with you.
Bad episode. Bad.
So tell me, what you grade this one as?
I was at a solid A. I wasn't at an A+ because I wasn't like jumping out of my skin, except for
the end,
the Boba stuff.
Yeah.
When his suit first showed up, and then at the end, I was like, ah! I just thought it was a solid, good episode in a solid, good show. I did the Wilhelm scream.
You so did.
Yes.
That was amazing. Chris, what about you? What do you grade this one at?
For the season
for this
premiere,
episode,
I give it a solid A.
Fair enough.
The episode did what it had to do. It established most of the story points for at least the first half of the season. They didn't. I feel like what's one of the strengths of the show in general is they know when to like for example with last season, it's like we didn't see Giancarlo Esposito's character till the very end. So I love how smart they are in terms of like who goes where. But solid A. The episode did what it had to do.
Fair enough. Christina?
I'm actually going to agree. So you're going to get a trifecta here. It was a solid A. It started a little bit slow, but I liked the storyline. I liked seeing Baby Yoda a little more. Okay, the child. A little more.
Stop roasting us, Internet.
Back to being Eyes of Wonder.
Yeah.
And so, because that's one of the things I love about that character. And you should too, Blaze. You should.
It just doesn't get old, does
Especially when he's doing his little wee.
And I'm going to disagree with everyone, and I'm going to give it a B+. I liked it. I think that, if you look at the whole body of work, there's been a lot of A's and A's pluses. I don't think this one reached that, with the exception of the 1 minute of Boba Fett, which honestly, blink and you miss it, because it is that fast. Like, wait, what did I just see? Oh my God, what? I thought that really, take that out and it's a B+. Because I think that there's been a lot of episodes that have been a lot better. I'm going to be fair with my gradings. So Tommy, why don't you tell us about our favorite charity real quick?
Oh, it's a wonderful charity I'm a part of called Broadway Hearts. You can visit us at www.broadwayhearts.org. We are a group of Broadway performers that bring music to kids and their families in hospitals, and we do interactive visits, and we do videos on request that star the kids, and it's a wonderful organization to be a part of. So let us know if you have any hospitals near you that you think would enjoy hanging out with us.
Yep. Fantastic charity. We give to it. You should too. Chris, where can people get a hold of you, bud?
Me, you can find me on the Instagram at Chris Giorgetti.
Fine.
And my website, chrisgiorgetti.com.
Outstanding.
And wherever board games are sold. So check out Target, Walmart,
you're one of
Costco.
Those. Nice.
Yes.
We have stuff to talk about later. Yeah.
I have DLC Pack 2021 coming out first quarter of next year. It'll be made available on all streaming platforms.
Outstanding. Nice. Okay,
I feel more like I've unleashed Chris on the show.
You have. It's all your fault, Satomi.
You have been a blast. Chris, thanks for joining us today. We're definitely going to have you on again. You're a blast.
Yay.
So until next time, I'm Dub, and with me is Christina and Satomi and Chris. Keep on geeking on. This is the way.
This is the way.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.